Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. I hope you had a great weekend, although there's been some, not so good news talking about ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, and three countries in the Sahel region pulling out of ECOWAS, alleging that from their point of view, ECOWAS, the commands of ECOWAS and all of that, have gotten very hostile to their aspirations. And so they have served notice that they're pulling out forthwith. As you know, ECOWAS has immediately responded, saying that it is not aware and that they were looking towards a dialogue approach, not wanting to lose any of its members. Now, we were going to look this morning at combating insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping in Nigeria. And immediately, there have been those commentators who have been saying that this situation, if care is not taken, will actually exacerbate the problem of combating insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping. Because, as you know, some of those countries are actually border us on the north. We put out this story yesterday and this morning. Let's look at it again.
The military-led government of Niger announced on its national television a joint decision with Mali and Burkina Faso to pull out of ECOWAS. It may not come as a surprise to many that these three French-speaking West African countries have decided to pull out of the regional body. The three countries have continued the alliance of Sahel states, including signing a joint pact to help one another against external aggression. This is from fear of ECOWAS threats to use military force where necessary. The regional body and indeed other international organizations have continued to condemn the disruption of democracy in these countries with stiff sanctions. The sanctions have taken a toll on not just the economy of their countries, but also their living conditions. Financial aid from countries like the United States have been halted, with their assets in ECOWAS frozen. School children in Niger, for example, have not been able to attend classes, and electricity from Nigeria has been cut, putting about 70% of Niger in darkness. All these pressures, including diplomatic negotiation, is to ensure a return to democracy. This decision by Niger may not be unconnected to the inability of the ECOWAS Presidential Task Force team to meet up with a scheduled meeting in Niamey on the 25th of January. A communique from the ECOWAS Commission says the team could not travel due to technical issues on the chartered aircraft. Though the junta spokesman says the decision to sever ties with ECOWAS was due to the inability of the regional body to help in the fight against terrorism and insecurity.
En effet, l'organisation n'a pas apporté assistance à nos États dans le cadre de notre lutte existentielle contre le terrorisme et l'insécurité. Face à cette situation qui perdure, leurs excellences le capitaine Ibrahim Traoré, le colonel Assimi Goïta et le général de brigade Abdourahmane Tchani, respectivement chef d'État du Burkina Faso, de la République du Mali et de la République du Niger, prenant toutes leurs responsabilités devant l'histoire et répondant aux attentes, préoccupations et aspirations de leur population, décident en toute souveraineté du retrait sans délai du Burkina Faso, du Mali et du Niger de la communauté économique des États de l'Afrique de l'Ouest.
ECOWAS founding fathers set up the regional body on the 28th of May 1975 to achieve economic integration. The military takeover in 4 of the 15 member states has been regarded by many as a setback for the region. The pullout of these countries could further affect the aim of the regional body in meeting free movement and integration ECOWAS was set up to achieve. It is important to note that Article 91 of the revised ECOWAS Treaty of 1993 says, any member wishing to withdraw from the community shall give to the Executive Secretary 1 year notice in writing, who shall inform the member state thereof. At the expiration of this period, if such notice is not withdrawn, such a state shall cease to be a member of the community. Considering the current suspended state of these three Sahel countries and the non-fulfillment of their financial responsibilities and other obligations to the regional body since their suspension, it is not clear if they have a right to withdraw from the regional body. The only Arab-speaking member of the body, Mauritania, that pulled out in year 2000 followed this procedure laid out in the treaty. 4 countries are currently under suspension by ECOWAS. They are Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. As the world awaits the next line of action from ECOWAS, especially ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, it is important to note that this decision or this next line of action will to a very large extent determine the strength, capacity and sustainability of the regional bloc. Muya Thomas, TVC News, Abuja.
Indeed, so that's the situation there. Quite a serious one with Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger pulling out, alleging that the community, as far as they see it, has gone back on the original idea of the founding fathers. And when they wanted to, take their own destiny in their hands, they believe that the community has been hostile to them. So they have announced the immediate, as you just saw and heard, the immediate withdrawal of their countries from ECOWAS. But ECOWAS, for its part, says that it is yet to receive a formal notice of any such withdrawal. And in any case, it actually favors a negotiated approach to this matter. Well, our guest this morning is Senator Shehu Sani. He's joining us now remotely. A fine morning to you, Senator. Thank you very much for making the time for us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, we're looking at this within the context of, before this news broke, we had planned to look at combating insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping in Nigeria, a situation that has really not improved as much as Nigerians would like. Now, when this news hit, immediately people have begun to say that, seeing as these countries border us on the north, in the north, this actually could further exacerbate the situation that we're contending with as far as combating, insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping is concerned. Your view, Senator?
Thank you for having me once again in your program. Well, geographically and historically, Niger and Nigeria shares history. And whatever happens in Niger is likely to happen in northern Nigeria, and whatever has happened in northern Nigeria is likely to happen in the Niger Republic. What we need to put on the facts is this. There are, as of last year's estimate, there are over 200,000 Nigerians that have been hosted in the Niger Republic as refugees. And over the years, there have been joint action between the security forces of the Niger Republic and Nigeria as far as the efforts to combat the activities of Boko Haram, ISIS, and other terrorist groups operating along the border. So our relationship is not just about history, it's not just about geography, it's not just about culture and whatever, but it's also about survival. We are facing a common threat, and the unity and the joint efforts of the two nations is important in terms of being able to combat this menace. What has happened in the last few months since the takeover of government by the military in the Niger Republic is that this joint effort has seriously been affected, because the resources that Nigeria provides for the Niger Republic to be able to engage these terrorists is not there, and there are all sorts of sanctions being imposed on the Niger Republic. But we should know that as we impose sanctions on the Niger Republic, we are also imposing sanctions on ourselves. You can see from Borno State to Yobe, Jigawa, Sokoto, and Zamfara. These are frontline states, and we can afford to cripple the security forces of the Niger Republic in the name of sanctions, while everything will boil down to our country. So I believe that as we move towards putting pressure on the restoration of democracy in those countries, we also need to remind ourselves the fact that as far as we are concerned, the peace and unity of our country is also dependent on the capacity and ability of our government to restore peace and order. If what is happening in southern part of Boko Haram is not a Nigerian problem, it was a Nigerian problem that spread to Chad, spread to Niger, and also spread to northern Cameroon. So it is in our own interest that we handle this with care. ECOWAS is an economic community of West Africans. It's not a political community. The protocol that insists that all these countries must be democratic is good. But where you have events like this that happen, it's important and it's necessary that it is handled with care because we are in a very special period. If that protocol was written about 20, 30, 40 years ago, well, it is written, but we are now facing a threat. Even if we don't like the government in the Republic, if we don't like the system, we don't like the overthrow of government, of the democratic elected government, but we have to deal with whoever are in power there in the interest of the security of our country. So that is my view.
Now, as you know, ECOWAS has been quick to respond in a way that, it sort of speaks for their desire for the integrity of the body, not wanting to lose any member. But as you are aware, what the leaders are saying, the new leaders in those three countries, especially in Niger and Mali, is that our destiny is being, from their point of view, being toyed with. And when we're speaking, they're not listening. That is to say, they have an overriding point of view that is not taking us so much into consideration. Now, this is not news. We know that has always been the way things have been seen. But as soon as this has happened, ECOWAS has swung into action, and has said that it is speaking or commenting on behalf of the presidential leadership of ECOWAS that they prefer a dialogue approach. It's like, no. It's not. Do you get the sense that what is being said is that it's not as bad as that? Can we not talk about this? Can we not dialogue about this? And how optimistic are you that would yield much fruit, seeing as the leaders of those countries have been quite pedantic in the way they see things, feeling that other countries are really interfering and going against what they believe is what their people want?
Well, it's important that we try to contextualize what actually happened in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic. The overthrow of those governments in those 3 or 4 countries is not because of any differences with ECOWAS countries. It is because those countries have been facing serious security issues and the governments of those countries have not been doing anything. It is because France has over-domineering presence in those countries and they want to free their country from neo-colonial occupation and chains. It is because the governments of those countries refuse to play the game according to rule as far as democracy is concerned. So where does ECOWAS comes in? Yeah, we have a protocol that said all governments should be elected. But let me ask you, Nigeria has experienced series of military dictatorship. Which country imposed in West Africa imposed sanctions on Nigeria? We were the ones who fought for democracy. We were the ones who were in the trenches. We were the ones who restored democracy in Nigeria. We mobilized our people. We fought the military. Many of us, people like me, were sent to jail. We stayed so long in prison and we came out. Many people were killed in that struggle. If ECOWAS is interested in restoring democracy to those countries, it is by engaging the military junta, as they are, and also supporting civil groups. That is how it is done. Now, look at the European Union. Hungary is having issues with the European Union because of its president, because of the kind of governments. They are not expelling Hungary out of EU. They are engaging the government. There are military overthrow of governments. We have them in Myanmar and other places. Nobody is thinking of sending military to take over. President Bola Tinubu was in the forefront of struggles for democracy. He was forced to exile. Which country in Africa imposed sanctions and even demanded that democracy be restored in Nigeria? None. But at this time, things have changed. If you can't just impose regime change on people. Those countries want to free themselves. France has been overbearing in the affairs of their nation. And terrorists have been attacking people, killing people, taking over spaces in those countries. And how the military stepped in. It's not an excuse when the government failed and when terrorists are attacking for the military to take over. But when it happens, ECOWAS should engage them, give them a timeline, encourage them to restore democracy, and support civil groups to also apply pressure on the military. That is how it is done. But if now they are our brothers, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, they are our brothers, they are our neighbors. They are more important to us than the European Union. They are more important to us than the United States because they are next to us. They are African brothers. So if we see things that are not going fine in those countries, is to engage them. So as far as I'm concerned, I believe that for now, even though they have made the announcement of pulling out of the body, there are procedures to follow. So we shouldn't just say because they have made an announcement of pull out and then they should go. We should continue to engage them and then make them return back. But if we are not careful, when we have a hostile labor around us, it's going to be difficult for us to even maintain or contain our security issues within the northern borders. And if any part of the country is not safe, all parts of the country are virtually not safe. So that is my view on this.
Indeed. And I see what you I get what you're saying, especially as the countries are not they're feeling quite miffed with how ECOWAS, under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu, a Democrat, and so he has spoken the way a Democrat has been speaking. He's gone into overtones of a never again. Africa will not, take a coup anymore. And all of those are well and good. Part of the reason, perhaps, is that, look, even though our brothers in those countries, as you've just said, see that France has been overbearing on their economy and, in effect, affecting the quality of their life. But Nigeria, that happens to have the presidency of ECOWAS at the moment, it doesn't have problems with France, even as it understands what our brothers in Niger, Mali, and perhaps as far away as Burkina Faso are saying. Nigeria doesn't have a problem. So Nigeria probably cannot be seen to be adopting the same tone as Niger, for instance, that has made so many statements. This is, I think, a problem. So Nigeria probably is treading the a very thin rope here of trying to stay within our democratic credentials. Never again. Things used to be the way they were, you said they were back in the day, but now it's a different story. And at the same time, now we're good with the world, we're good with democratic, evangelists, but our brothers here are saying, what are you talking about? Look at the standard of our living, and look at you in Nigeria there. It's a very, very complex and delicate one, isn't it?
Well, first of all, what you need to understand that there is the issue of sovereignty here. Whenever the European Union make negative comments about our elections here, the response that comes from us is that you can't dictate to us what we should not do and what we should not do, that we are a sovereign country. After the 2023 election, 2019 elections, and then subsequent other elections in Nigeria, we have seen how we have responded to the European Union and United States each time they question our elections. So if we can respond to the EU like that by telling them that they can't interfere in our internal affairs and we have the right to govern ourselves and conduct our elections as we do fit, why should we impose on other countries what they want to do? If the people of Niger don't want military rule, they will start up and fight military and then get them out of power. We did it, we fought. Nobody can lecture someone like me about democracy. I have been to prison. I'm still long in prison. We were handcuffed. We were beaten. We were tortured. So nobody can tell us, as far as this is concerned. As for France and the West, we have seen how Western countries too have been supporting undemocratic regimes in other parts of the world. Most of the countries in the Arab world are monarchies. They never conduct elections. They violate fundamental rights of people. But why is the United States and other Western countries, why are they still there? Why are they still engaging them? So we need to understand, we have our strategic interests. The people of Niger don't want the military. They can mobilize themselves to get the military out. And we should support them if they want to do that. But we should understand that these people are so close to us. It's like when you have a lice that is close to your testicles. You have to be very careful when you are removing it because you may end up injuring yourself. So to me, Nigeria is not our responsibility to say we want to impose on other countries. This is how they want to rule their country. They have their own peculiar issues. France was there for a very long time. They were not able to help them evict terrorists from their country. They are not able to help them economically. They are almost like benefiting resource-wise and everything from those nations for a long time. Those countries, those people want to get their country back. Why should we say? If we want to be the policeman of Africa imposing democracy, I think we have to be very careful. We have our own issues which we want to solve. Ours is to engage them. If any country of the West wants to change the military regimes in Niger, in Burkina Faso, and Mali, they should come out and do it. The last time that happened was in Liberia. They told us to go into Liberia and restore peace. We end up losing many thousands of our own servicemen, and we have spent over $7 billion, and nothing came from Nigeria. In fact, it was said to be an ECOWAS, but it was only Nigeria that was fighting. So if anybody wants to change the effect regime change in those countries, please, he should bring his military and go and do it, but not Nigeria. That is not our own responsibility. These are our brothers, our sisters. We have to live with them. We have to engage them. If people of Niger wants to change their government, they should be ready to go to prison. They should be ready to organize protests. They should be ready to control the military and restore democratic order, just like we did.
All right, then. I'm going to take a break now, but please stay with us. And when we come back, the calls have been mounting already. We'll also include your calls from home. Stay with us, please.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
Taking you through as it happened.
It's fast-paced, hard-hitting,
With investigations that matter.
bringing in news that affects your life.
With sport, entertainment, and business news, so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth.
Every night.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Business lives on the fast track of numbers. Business is a strange world where low numbers means something different. And its currency are speed and time. Finding the open doors of mainstream is not just good business, it's the start of the business. Join us every weekend on Business Week.
Welcome back. Our guest is Senator Shehu Sani. He is with us. When we went on break, our calls have started to come in. We have a slight technical issue, but we can still get the calls nevertheless. It's just that we can't really speak with the people who are calling in. So as soon as we put you on, please identify yourself and where you're calling from, and then we're good. You can continue. But in the meantime, as I said, Senator Shehu Sani is with us. And he closed by making some statements that, look, we have to try and understand the situation, put everything in context. These people are our neighbors, and quite frankly, we are one. But for the British amalgamation of Nigeria, when it went back there I think, all the way back in 1914, we very well could have been in the same country. But the first caller has come in. Good morning to you. Where are you calling from? And please tell us your name.
Uncle Yara, this is George calling from Ikeja.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Go ahead, please.
Good morning to you. Good morning to the comrade you are talking to.
Sure.
Uncle Yara, with due respect to Mr. Shehu Sani, I want to disagree with some of his arguments. These military juntas that we are talking about, their argument is that France had over-dominated them. If that is true, what are they doing with Russia now? We are aware that it is Russia that is coordinating them with also another hidden agenda. I am in total support of a blockade against those military juntas. The reason being that, the time this subject came up, I was of the view, and I'm still of the view, that the first thing the ECOWAS will have done is to expel them and go to the African Union, promote the same idea, to expel them until they return to democracy before they are readmitted. There is an argument now that that what is being done to them will put Nigeria in danger. I don't quite agree with that. Instead, if we allow it to stand, we are putting our own democracy in danger, because the military in our country will think it is something they can do and get away with it, since our neighbors are doing the same thing. If Niger and the rest are not comfortable with their leaders, they should put it to vote and let the people decide. What is the criteria for these military people saying that the people do not like what the... Was it not the same people that elected those leaders they dethroned? So I am not able to buy that argument. The economic aspect of it is not only Nigeria that will lose, it is those countries themselves will also lose. It is an economic bloc, true, but you cannot have a good economy without a sound democracy. One person will pocket the money and nobody has the right to challenge him. You cannot take him to court. You cannot even criticize him. What kind of economy is that?
Okay, Mr. George. Thank you very much for calling in. But Senator Sani, our military has been saying over and over again that, the leadership of our military has been saying over and over again that what Mr. George suggested is simply not on the cards at all. And but you heard him yourself. Your comments, please, on his submission.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have listened to his own line of argument. But what I want to bring his attention to it is that sanctions has never worked in terms of changing government. And those of us who are in the northern part of the country, we know how it feels to stay by a hostile neighbor. What Nigeria is doing now is like when you have a neighbor that has divorced his wife, then you come and say that any person who is going to be my neighbor must be a married man. You have no right to dictate to them what kind of government they should have. And if you are talking of looting, is money not being looted in Nigeria under democratic? What has happened under Buhari's regime for 8 years? Has it happened in those countries? When central bank became simply a bazaar and a Father Christmas for some persons in government. So that is not the issue. But what I'm saying is that as far as we are concerned, we shouldn't be the policeman of democracy in Africa. We have a lot to address here as far as we are concerned. And if Nigeria attempts to bring the issue of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, African Union, they will simply be disgraced. They will not be expelled. They will not be expelled from the African Union. Because how many countries in Africa are truly democratic? Please, let's tell ourselves the truth. Equatorial Guinea is said to be democratic. The president has been there for 40 years. Cameroon is said to be democratic. The president has been there since 1980. And Congo Brazzaville is for 30 years. They are all in power. Eyadema has died and he's given power to his son in Togo. So please, this is not what you're supposed to do. The president of Ivory Coast, Alassane Ouattara, is in the forefront of instigating that we should go to war to change government in Niger Republic. He is free to go to do that, but not our own country, because we know any war between ECOWAS and this junta is simply between Nigeria and 3 countries. How can we contain that?
Okay, one moment, please. Another caller has come on the line. Good morning to you. Please identify yourself and where you're calling from.
Yeah, good morning, sir. And then this is Yakub from Dokbemo.
Good morning, Yakub. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then good morning to Comrade Chief Sonny. I totally agree with Mr. George. And then even though the situation is so dicey, I quite understand the stand of Comrade Chief Sonny. But to me, the issue is this. Yes, Nigeria as it is now, I don't think we can prepare to go to Mali or Niger or Burkina Faso to try to say that I want to change the government of that state or quote and unquote. Even the ECOWAS as a whole, I don't think they have the resources to do that now. Yes, negotiation within these guys, yes, it's welcome idea, but are they ready to listen to anybody? Because the issue is this, they take over the power, maybe all because they were saying that the terrorists are killing their people and all that. Are they able to stop the terrorists being killing their people now? That's another question. Then another question is this. If Niger, that's very close to us there, they are putting threat to Nigerian, quote and unquote. I think Nigerian government should sit tight and make sure that this does not happen to the citizens. And then Sheikh Hussaini said something which I am very happy I remember, that if Nigerian people, they really want to change their government, they should be, he mentioned, if I don't make a mistake, he mentioned that they should be ready to go to jail, they should be ready to take the bull by themselves, and then Nigerians should support them. How do we go to support them? Because we do respect Mr. Sheikh Hussaini, as it is today. Nobody that's ready to go to jail the way you guys did then, because everything has been changed. Because even in Nigeria, God forbid, we can never go back to that kind of era again. If something like that happens, I'm putting it to Comrade Sheikh Hussaini, are you ready to take the book by the way you did at that time? Because the issue is this. Yes, I'm putting it to you, sir.
Okay, all right. Mr. Yakub, thank you very much. We got you. Well, Senator, you just heard that viewer say, the time when, people were, the comrades were ready to, confront the situation that they felt was unfair, and if it means incarceration, so be it. Those days are over. He even asked the rhetorical question, today, sir, would you be as forthright as you were back in the day? Maybe you just answer that in passing, because I wanted to come back quickly to the question of combating insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping, and how the present situation is marring that.
Well, first of all, I will tell you that conscience is not about age. It's about conviction. It's about beliefs. It's about principle. If you believe in something, you should be able to stand up and fight for it. After all, by the time we were in jail, Wole Soyinka was far ahead of us in age, and we were still fighting. So at any time when there is an attack on democracy, there are many of us who are prepared to go to prison, even if we will not be able to do what we did when we were younger. But we believe that there are younger people who will be there earlier than us. So they have more stronger fighting spirit than we are today, and I think they are still doing it. But that is aside. If we want to keep democracy, sustain democracy in Africa, we need to play the games by play. We have to respect fundamental rights, respect our constitution, organize free, fair, and credible elections, and so on and so forth. You can't be calling yourself civilian government and you end up rigging election, looting the treasury of the country, and then violating fundamental rights of people, and then you call yourself democracy. So many things can happen in that aspect of it. Why we are particular about Niger Republic is the proximity of Niger Republic and the consequences of the collapse of law and order in that country, and the fact that their people are in support of their own military government. Many of their people are in support of their military government. So what do you do? If they are in support of it, there are people who are opposed to it. We can allow ourselves, when Nigeria was under military rule for 20 years, which country launched an armed attack against Nigeria to change over? In fact, many of these Western countries refused even to impose sanctions when many of us were in prison. They refused to impose sanctions on Nigeria. They were still dealing with Abacha and Babangida's government at that very time. So it is the civil society, it's the people of the country that can change their government. It's not us. As for us, we have our own interest. Our own interest is security. How can we continue to work, our own security forces continue to work with the security forces of Niger Republic? If care is not taken, if there is hostility between Nigeria and Niger Republic, a vacuum will be created. All these ISIS, Boko Haram will now be emboldened to continue to escalate their activities. That is why we are concerned.
Okay, so let me bring in another caller, Senator. Good morning. Please identify yourself and where you're calling from.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. This is Temitope calling from Makuonjo.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in, Temitope. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Uncle Yori. The challenge about Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso withdrawal from ECOWAS, we want to actually say that if they are ready to go, they should try it out. Nigeria, they have been the beneficiary of the largesse and the resources of Nigeria over time. Nigeria has fully funded the multinational joint task force due to the insurgency and the upheaval in the Sahel region, which has come at a cost. Those money could have used for personal development, our education, and in our health sectors. So if they choose to opt out, I believe we should call it their bloc. So they should go on their own. Let's use this money to secure our borders.
Okay.
What the activist, Senator Seousani is saying, like the few caller said, in these days we are protesting, we are dancing, we are singing. It was not like that in their days. So are we saying if there's military takeover in Nigeria, we welcome it with negotiation and all the like? Please, we should take it and ensure these resources, instead of spending it on negotiating with them, should be used to secure their borders, our borders.
Well, okay, because I was going to ask, the senator just made the point about instability or unfriendliness from Niger, or a lack of cordial relations between us and Niger, would have its effect on our security. Temitope, okay, you've gone. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
Did you catch that point that the senator made?
It's about the instability. We have put so much resources in ensuring these are neighbors, even in our fight against Boko Haram. Most of these hide and seek from Cameroon and neighboring borders, we knew how they contributed to where we got to where we are.
Okay.
It's about the instability. So we should take a firm stand. If they don't want to embrace democracy, then we should stop funding them, funding multinational joint task force that is to their benefit. They have easy access to our region to sell their cattle, their wares, their farm produce. So then why will we?
All right then. Thank you very much, Temitope. Well, I can imagine almost your response to that, Senator, because you've encapsulated in what you said there earlier. But Temitope there is saying that let them go if they want to go. That's not quite the way these things work.
Well, you see, what we are trying to do by imposing sanctions on them is we are teaching them to be independent of us. And I don't think at the long term, it's on Europe. We need to understand this. Chad, Cameroon, and Niger don't have a Boko Haram problem. It is our problem. It is Nigeria's problem that spreads to their country. So we are the ones that spread the cancer of our own problem to their country. And now they are helping us to fight the terrorists. And even sometimes even incurring into our own borders. Now look at it from that point of view. Secondly, there are no Nigerian refugees in Nigeria. There are Nigerian refugees in Niger Republic, which shows that it is our own problem. There are no Chadian refugees in Nigeria. There are Nigerian refugees in Chad, which shows it is our own problem. We can't secure our country alone if we don't work in tandem, if we don't cooperate with our neighbors. It's not possible. And we can learn from them. If you kidnap any person in Chad, it will take 24 to 48 hours before they got to the terrorists or the kidnapper. There's something in Niger. There's something in northern part of Cameroon. But in Nigeria, it's not the case. We need the support of this country. If they are having a military government, that is not our own government. Military, I don't think military will take over Nigeria as of this time here. We have gone far beyond that. I pray so. But if they have that problem, we can say, okay, but on issues of security, let's work together. And it is give and take. We can't cut electricity supply to Niger Republic and say that will make their government, their people to overthrow their government. Pressures in countries, this kind of sanction, rather garner more support from their people. It doesn't push the people away from the government. We should know. Europe is far away from Niger. We are not far away from it. If there is a breakdown of law and order in Niger, it will affect us. Look at what happened in Sudan. So all what I'm saying is that let's continue to engage them. It is for our own interest.
Okay.
It is in the interest of our own security of our country.
Indeed.
Katsina State in the front line, Jigawa in the front line, Sokoto and Zamfara are all in the front line. How can we sacrifice our people simply because those people have overthrown the government of their country? Their people should be able to restore democracy if they want. And if they want their military rule, let them continue to have it. But it's not our problem. It's the security of our country. And let's deal with them on that aspect.
All right, Senator. But I have just less than 2 minutes left. So let me just interrogate that last point that you made, that if they want a military regime, let them have it. That goes against the whole ethos of ECOWAS as enunciated by President Tinubu when this whole palaver started. He was adamant there, and most African countries seem to say that we're tired of democracy. And we're tired of military regimes, a lack of democracy. Africa has to move forward. You can't continue. Look, democracy might have its flaws, but there's nothing quite as good as it. And so let's work at that. I think it was in that light that President Tinubu had said at the time that there is absolutely no alternative to democracy, and we weren't going to let it stand. Now, it might not have worked out exactly the way we might have thought, now that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are digging in. But how do you see this ending against the backdrop of ECOWAS has immediately responded that we have not been formally notified of the exit of these brother countries, and that they favor a negotiation approach. Are you optimistic that we can talk around this and get back on track as one big African family?
Well, you see, President Tinubu is right. He's the chairman of ECOWAS, and as a chairman, you need to speak based on the laid down rules, the template as for the organization which you are heading, and he has spoken about that. But let's come to reality now. What is ECOWAS? ECOWAS is simply Nigeria. We fund about 80% or 70% of the budget of ECOWAS. All what I'm saying is that in the event of any military confrontation or breakdown of one order, it will be Nigeria versus the three countries, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, all those Guinea, Conakry, and whatever. What do they have? We had the experience in the 90s. What happened in Liberia? The West promised to help Nigeria to be able to restore order in Liberia and Sierra Leone. They left us to foot the bill. The former chief of defense staff said Nigeria spent about $7 billion, which the money was never refunded. 80% of those killed were Nigerian soldiers. So don't listen to those who want you to go hawkish and go into military confrontation.
Okay.
If any of those so-called champions of democracy wants to restore democracy, they should do it. For us, the security of our own country is what matters most.
We've got to leave it there. Senator, thank you very much for making time for us this morning. We've got to leave it there. We've taken the perspectives of Senator Shehu Sani. This is a story that, as you can imagine, is only just beginning, so this can't be the end of it. We'll also take a look at other perspectives as the week wears on. Thank you very much for being with us this morning, Senator Shehu Sani, once again. That's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folare. Bye-bye for now.